Hey everyone, so today we'll go over the search guide on the INSIA application. And before we begin and actually click and I show you what the search guide is on an overview basis, the search guide is basically the place where you as a first time user go to get a good grip of how analysis can be performed on INSIA, how your data actually can be viewed on INSIA before you begin a search, how KPIs and dimensions are correlated, how you can select things from a table, how you can actually understand what operations to perform on your data or on your KPIs, how to use different time cuts, like for example, how do you see your sales year over year or monthly year over year, and more such analysis regarding time, regarding different operations such as average, count, and all those insights on operations can be understood by just simply spending some time on the search guide. With that said, we'll get started. So as soon as you click on the search guide, you'll see three separate tabs: the data view, the operator view, and the time view. So the data view by far is the most paramount tab of our search guide, and what the data view essentially does is that it lists out the KPIs inside a table, the column headers which are not numbers or decimals. Basically any column header leaving your time dimension and numbers are here. Anything which has string entries will always be here, so that you can perform dimensional cuts. So for example, if this was a sales table, you could just do sales by mentor, sales by the salesman, man name, or sales by the category or item product, those type of dimensions. For our example, I'll take the IMDb test table, which we've been working with for the better part of all our tutorials now. And right here, so if I look at box office revenue, I can immediately see it across country. And not only do I can see it against country on the search bar, I can just simply click here. As soon as we click on one of the column headers, it will actually list out all the values. So before even going on to search, you know that this is what you would be expected to see. So right, like here, box office revenue with country. Well, you have it here. Now you can see how it will come up on the search bar. So we type box office revenue by country. There we go. Highest is in this country, which is United States, because most of the movies were produced there. Alright, so coming back to our search guide, those are the type of things which you can get a glance of really quickly. Similarly, you can see other names, and not only that, you can search. So for example, you specifically know that you're looking for something which was directed by let's say Amir Khan, right? So see, something which you're specifically looking for is right there. So you know that, alright, you can analyze any of these KPIs by director and you might get Amir Khan related entries in it. Similarly for all the other dimensions which are available. And the last column over here is the date column, which will just simply list out the two dates which are there. So the target create date is something that INSIA creates by default on the database, and the release date is the one which is basically a part of the data set which we had loaded, or in your case whatever you load. If it has date columns, it would be listed out here. And that is essentially what the data view does. Coming next to the operator view. So the operator view will basically provide you a full list of all the operators with a simple 1 or 2 line definition. It will also list out some very simple requirements while you're using the operator, or some parameters while you're using the operator. And over here you have a small GIF which will take you through all the operators. But more essentially, the biggest thing to begin with when it comes to operators is to understand that how to identify that it's actually an operator when you're putting it on search. So if I want to see average of something, the moment I type average and I see this logo, which looks like the settings logo or like a gear, that's the biggest cue to understand, okay, that's an operator acting before any metric. So now I can take average of box office revenue and then cut it by genre, and there we go. So this will give me an average of the revenue by the genres. right? And more such operators are available here. Depending on your requirement, you can go for something which is slightly more advanced, such as absolute percentage change in. And as soon as you do that, you have to type this operator first. So you'll type on the search bar absolute value and percentage change in. Now after that, you see metric written. That's where you select one of the KPIs available, or the KPI that you want, and then this part of it is again something that you'll have to select from the drop down. So like, we'll have a look at the GIF here, absolute percentage change in sales daily, and there we go. See, we have that ready working for us, and so on and so forth. You can try all these operators and perform analysis on the go. The last tab is the time view. So time view tab will basically help you perform time series analysis, and the way to go about any of these time operators is usually just enter the metric first which you want to see, and then enter any of the time cuts. So for our case, again, we'll go back to box office revenue, and we'll put any time. We'll see it by month. Right, so the moment you see the calendar, that's where you know that, okay, this is what I need to cut with. And now what is the month acting on? The month is acting on the default date which was set by you while you were loading the table for the first time. So in our case, I've set the release date, so it will pick up months from the release date column entries. So there we go, we have month. Let's say I don't want to see month, and I want to see just some months. So let's say last 2.5 years. So 24 plus 6, which would be last 30 months. So you see it comes on right there. That's it, that's the office revenue. And I want to now see how it moves over week. So the last 2.5 years of revenue, how it has been moving week over the weeks is right here. Changes from week to week. And so on. You can perform the same thing for different cuts, such as you can do it for year, you can do it for day as well. If you want to see day, let's say you don't want to see just day, you want to see how it moves on the day of the week. There's a day of the week cut, so you know that most of the revenues are coming in on your Fridays. Let's see day of the month. So when you go on day of the month, you see that the highest is usually towards the last week of the month, which is the 25th, and also the mid of the month, which is the 18th, right? And let's just see if there's anything else left on time view. So you can go for previous month, previous quarter, MTD. So yeah, you can see YTD, which will give you only this year's data till current date, and similarly if you do MTD, it will give you this month's data till current day, so on and so forth till today. And yeah, now I can specifically select, so like I selected the last 30 weeks of overall data, but you can specify last n weeks of previous quarter. Anyways, once you select something, as always, INSIA over here has provided you a very simple, quick one-line meaning of the time operator that you're trying to work with, and it will give you some parameters which will help you always understand where you are working, what you're working with, as well as the limitation. And there's a GIF over here which will basically give you an example so that you can get started without having to come back here and try different sets, just by looking at this GIF and deciding which KPI you want to go ahead with, along with which time operator you want to go ahead with. And that's it. This largely covers our entire search guide, ranging from the data view to the operator view as well as the time view.